Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Health Chats Among Friends. My name is Deidre Kindred. I'm a nurse advocate, educator, and navigator, and I love bringing you reputable resources from the people that I love and that I know. And tonight, I'm so honored. I have Leihla Moore here with me. Leihla, say hi and tell them a little bit about what you do and who you are.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me be on tonight. I really appreciate the opportunity to share what I do and my passion. And I think we share we have a lot of commonalities when it comes to taking care of people. I work for Oxford Glen Memory Care. I am the sales director slash community liaison, but I'm also an advocate for the Alzheimer's Association and just about everything that has to do with seniors. And it is my passion, and I'm thankful that I've been given the opportunity by God to serve this way.
You know, that's so wonderful. You do a whole lot more than people know. And I
I
first,
do.
I want to thank you personally for being that advocate, not only for seniors, but also for the people who serve the seniors. You have a lot on your
Absolutely.
plate. So tell us a little bit about, some of the events and things that you are involved in.
So for 2021, I am the walk chair for the Walk to End Alzheimer's
Mhm.
for Arlington Mansfield, and that will be in October or November of 2021 at Texas Live. So we've got a great venue, and hopefully COVID will be over and done with, or at least move out of our way so that we can, fully be out there advocating for people with Alzheimer's. I am a child of Alzheimer's, so it's personal for me. My mother was young onset at 52.
Mm.
And so that kind of threw me into the senior realm in my 20s. So I didn't have any resources. I didn't know what to do, where to go. And I don't want anyone to ever be faced with that. We need to help each other. And
Man.
so that's the drive that, God was preparing me then for what I do now.
Amen. Amen. He does it because everybody has a story, right? And I love the passion
Absolutely.
behind the story. So, you also mentioned earlier, so that you said you work for the Alzheimer's Walk, and that's Mansfield. So that means that there's several walks. So a lot of people don't know that they have several walks around the community. So that's awesome.
Absolutely. Just in the North Texas chapter, I believe we have
Mhm.
17 walks and
Wow.
expands all the way to West Texas. And then in the Dallas chapter, I believe there are 10 or 12 walks, and those go all the way to East Texas and all the way up to Texoma.
And they are so much fun. And this year was a little bit different because
Yeah,
you could walk at your leisure, and that was still
right,
a great cause.
right.
COVID has taught me you got to pivot.
You definitely
You
have to
know,
be flexible.
you definitely have to be flexible, and I feel like it's brought some great changes, and it's also brought some like, let me think
Well,
about this.
yeah. Well, I think what it's done more than anything is brought us back to where we were before all the technology started, and I think it's humbled us in many ways and made us, or it should have made us gracious for things that
Right,
we took for granted. I mean, you look at water and toilet paper, good
right,
example. All of
right,
a sudden, it's a rare commodity.
right.
And, so now things are starting to get back to normal. But in the meantime, with regard to like what I do, people have been at home, they've been with their loved ones. So now they see the cognitive issues or impairments that their parents or grandparents have. And so I think that has helped us actually be able to get back to more of a family unit because we couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't do anything.
Mhm.
All we had was each other. And that's something that I think that society has lost.
Right.
And so, in a way, I think that's the silver lining.
I agree. I totally agree. It's helped me to reprioritize,
Absolutely.
with
And
what's
and
really
know
important.
what's really important. That's
Mhm.
right. And
Right,
the concept of love thy neighbor and help each other, I think is
right,
something that
right.
society had lost sight of that, of love thy
Hmm.
neighbor.
Right,
And
right.
even though our country is going through a lot of changes, I think that we're hopefully on the right path to having that unity again.
Right, right. Well, I
Definitely.
also wanted to talk to you about Oxford Senior Living. So tell me something
Okay.
about that and where you guys located. What do you specialize in?
So we are an independent memory care community. We have 4 locations, McKinney, Saxe, Carrollton, and Grand Prairie, which is where I'm located. We are memory care that takes all types of behaviors. So we take all dementias with all behaviors. And so, which can be hard to place when you have somebody who likes to hit or kick or spit or
Yeah.
throw things. That is what we don't want to ever tell anybody no, because those people tend to fall through the cracks and not get the type of care that they need. Socialization is so important,
Mm,
and nutrition, hydration, all of those are very key components to longevity. And so that's our mission. That's our goal, is to give them the best quality of life possible.
right, right. I so want to visit, but with
I'll,
COVID, it's
I'll
like,
give you a virtual tour anytime you want.
yes. Yeah. So if someone else wanted a virtual tour, you offer those as well, correct?
Absolutely,
Awesome.
absolutely. Professional
Awesome.
and for prospective families. But
Wonderful.
absolutely anytime.
Wonderful, wonderful. So tell us, I'm gonna go back to some of the other things that Leihla does in the community. I mean, she is a powerhouse. She is a connector. She is like an energizer bunny of connections. So tell us a little bit about. We were talking earlier before we started about Aware. Is that okay to talk about
Aware,
that?
yes. Aware is an offshoot of the Alzheimer's Association and the Dallas chapter, and a group of women in the Highland Park area. They left and they decided to focus more on caregivers versus research. They do research, but their focus is taking care of the families who are taking care of the loved ones.
Right.
So, and they have scholarships. It's a great organization. And there is a lot of good being done. And so I'm so blessed to be part of that organization. A friend of mine, Barbara Glass, is the chair, and she's very well known in Dallas and all things senior. And I just appreciate the opportunity to help drive membership with them.
Well, I love the mission behind that because the caregivers sometimes get forgotten, and the caregivers suffer from, lack of self care because what they do is they put themselves on the back burner, and their loved one that they're caring for, they come first, which is understandable. But at the same
Right,
time, you got to get over that guilty feeling of,
right. Well, and they need a good
oh,
quality of life too.
right, right,
Caregivers need
right,
that, because
absolutely.
statistically, the chances of a caregiver getting dementia is very high. I
Mhm.
mean, there's depression, there's isolation, there's all these factors that play into um, caregivers and what they go through, and they need support. They need to be
Mhm.
taken care of as well. And that's another organization that I'm part of, is Dementia Care Warriors. And my girlfriend Veronica Shanklin, she started it last year. This is our first year really to push it out, and so she is a child of Alzheimer's, and she's taking care of her mother and her grandmother.
Wow.
And so what she does is she's in her late 30s, early 40s, I think. But she had to give up her career and come home and take care and put family first.
Right.
And so she has seen the need to have support for children that are going through this. So, and if anyone would like information on that, I would love to be able to share it, because we're really advocating for our caregivers.
Yes, yes. And caregivers
Yeah.
basically, sometimes people get confused when we use the word caregiver. Because I know I had to explain it to
Hmm.
somebody before. They think that we're talking about healthcare workers.
Right.
And I
No,
have
they're
to
the people at
differentiate.
home.
Yes, the sisters,
Absolutely.
the daughters, the sons, the mothers, fathers. That's who we're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, I know several families where the parents are in their 70s and their children are in their 50s, and they have the dementia. The children have it, not the
Right,
parents.
right,
So
right.
they thought they're done, but they're not. I mean, it's a lifetime commitment. um and of course the natural aging process. But I think that a lot of what goes on in society, our diet, our exercise, or lack thereof, those factor into whether or not we're susceptible to have dementia, and it can lie dormant. I mean, the more you read about it and the more you educate yourself, the
Mhm.
scarier it becomes, actually.
Right, right. And it's even scarier because it doesn't affect everybody the same. There's no box or magic pill or
Absolutely.
remedy because everybody is different. Everybody reacts differently to it. And then you got different family
Absolutely.
dynamics. There's so much that goes into that. Um,
Right.
yeah.
There is no cookie cutter
Mhm.
diagnosis, and everybody's dementia is their own. It's individual, and you can have commonalities, but the actual dementia that someone has is completely different than their next door neighbor or their brother, their
Right,
sister. And I think
right.
that's what you know. That's one of the hardest things to for them doing the research, is to find something that can slow it down, much less cure it. I mean, if we can just slow down the rate, I don't know if you know this statistic. More people have Alzheimer's than breast cancer and colon cancer combined.
Wow.
And
No,
we
I
know
didn't.
how big breast cancer is.
Hmm.
And so every 66 seconds, someone is diagnosed in this country.
Wow.
And when you have 10,000 people turning 65 every day, you can imagine the amount of disease that we have that's manifesting and coming to the forefront. And that's why, I really push so hard, because I mean, it can affect me too. My mom was young onset, so my chances are very high. My diet's not the way it should be. I don't exercise like I used to. You know, I'm a prime candidate.
Right.
So, and
Yeah.
I just admitted that, didn't I?
Yeah.
But
But you're a
but there
caregiver.
is I yes, I was in care 14 years. My mom's journey was 14 years. She's no longer with me. But she's with me every day. So,
Amen.
I just want awareness because we don't have enough of it, but I guarantee you that just about everybody, I would say 99% of the population either knows somebody who has it, or is related to, or knows somebody who knows somebody.
Right.
That's just the way it is. They talk about it, my crazy old aunt or whatever. That's the way it used to be. They thought it was a mental problem, and
Mm-hmm.
they would
Mm-hmm.
deal with it, the psychiatric um,
Oh yeah.
direction. But
Oh
it's
yeah.
not. It's not a mental illness. It's a true disease. And I think the more that we talk about it, I have this saying: we have to face it to fight it. And so every day we have to face it. That's the only way we can fight it. We have to
That's a
tell
good.
people,
Yeah.
and we have to keep telling them
Right.
about it.
Right. Right. You're so right. I mean, there's so much technology and so much learning, and people have questions. So, what are some of the questions? Talk about one of the main questions you get when someone's inquiring about someone coming into your facility.
Well, I think a lot of times families are looking at longevity. They want to know how long does my loved one have? Well, unfortunately, it's not like cancer where you can say, okay, this is our treatment protocol, and in 6 weeks, you know, it's going to be this way, or in 7 years they'll be in remission after, they're 7 years out and they don't show any. It's not like that. There's no end date for dementia. And so that's part of the reason why at Oxford we do what we do. We make sure that, like I said before, the hydration, nutrition, and socialization, especially socialization, well, actually, all important, but
Okay.
no isolation, no depression. We're fighting that. We're keeping them active and giving them life. That helps them live longer. So I wish I had an answer, but I don't, and I
Right.
don't know that any of us do. I think that the average, depending on what stage they're in, is 4 to 5 years, depending. But then you look at cases like with my mom, who was 14 years, and that's at diagnosis. But in hindsight, she probably had dementia at least 2 years before I came out of my
Right.
denial,
Right. Right.
because when I mean, who expects somebody 50 years old to not have their memory?
Yeah.
I mean, we
Yeah.
just don't.
Yeah.
but it affects extremely smart people, people who multitask, um, judges, doctors, lawyers,
Mm-hmm.
scientists,
Yeah.
mathematicians, people
Yeah.
who use their brain nonstop they're very susceptible to
Yeah.
it, and
Yeah.
they don't know why.
No, and it's still researching, it's
Yeah,
ongoing, right?
yeah,
There, like you said, I like that there's no cookie cutter explanation. You can't say, well, my
no.
mom, every day is different too. Every day is like,
Every day is Groundhog Day.
okay. and what I've learned in my nursing career um, is that you have to help people cope. I'm talking about the caregivers because you have to
Yes,
go into their world, their loved one's world who is
absolutely.
experiencing Alzheimer's. You can't, like, if I had Alzheimer's and I say this wall back here is yellow, it's
It's
yellow.
yellow. It's yellow.
Don't argue
But
with them. That's just gonna
right,
cause
but you
more
know what that is?
frustration.
When we do that, it's our denial.
Yep.
It's our denial. It's not that,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
they're seeing what they see, but it's
Right.
our denial, and it's an entire process. And we have to think about things like their dignity, their pride, and how you confront someone. I mean, I've learned so much in retrospect that I still carry some guilt to think that I didn't do, that I didn't know either, what was going on with my mom. So the thing is that it doesn't change the price of gas. So it doesn't matter.
Right.
If the sky is purple, the sky is
The
purple to
sky's
them.
purple. Yeah.
You know what?
Mm-hmm.
Enjoy how beautiful the sky is. Step into their world, embrace them,
Mm-hmm.
because otherwise you're going to live and you're the one carrying, the caregiver's the one carrying that pain. And you still carry the pain, but it's just different pain.
Yeah.
To watch someone die literally in front of you
Yeah.
is it's it's
Yeah.
it's the hardest thing that you can ever go through.
Oh.
But if
Yeah.
you add the denial and the pushback, it just makes you and your loved one frustrated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And we've
you just have to
all
go
done
with
it.
it.
We've all done it. I remember doing it with my mom when she was here.
Yeah,
And like, no, mom, no, that's not,
yeah.
or it's like she's showing symptoms.
Because we want to. I mean, that's our mom.
Mm-hmm.
And we're taught not to lie, not to talk back. You know.
Yeah.
So when they're saying blah blah blah, and I told you, and I'm like, no, you didn't. And you're, yes, I did. You know what? You did. And I
Uh-huh.
once I learned that it was okay to lie and really allow myself. It was 3 years in before I did that. Before I said, you know what? And I think I had a friend of mine tell me that it's okay to lie. She's not going to know. And I thought, wow, you're right. She's not. So that's a
Yeah.
big piece of advice that I tell
Yeah.
children all the time.
Right. And when we're
It,
talking about lies, we're talking about, I like to call them little
well,
baby
you call them white
lies.
lies or
White lies, baby lies,
fibers or
whatever, just to make their life easier. Because I have
right.
a true story. When I was working at the hospital, um, little lady comes in, she has Alzheimer's, late stage. You can tell it was late stage. But anywho, they go backwards. So I'm preaching to the choir, but I'm just telling the audience that they go backwards in time.
Right,
So
right.
she was about 70 ish, somewhere in there, but she had gone all the way back to where she was the caregiver of her children, and she would pick them up from school, bring them
Mm-hmm.
home, do their homework. So she had kept asking, where are the kids? Where are the kids? Where are the kids? I need to get out of bed. You know, she didn't know she was in the hospital. She didn't know she was in the
Right.
ICU. She didn't understand all the beeps and buzzes. So I had to go into her world. So I told my little white lie. I said, well, you're here at this hotel for the
Mm-hmm.
weekend. We are here to
Mm-hmm.
serve you, and you're going to take a break. And then Monday, you can go back home and be with your children. And I tell
Mm-hmm.
you, she was happy as a lark. Oh, you mean I get to stay here? Yes, ma'am, you get to stay here.
Yep.
So it made her stay much more pleasant. It made my job easier,
Yeah. Yeah.
but that wasn't the goal, wasn't to make my job easier. So let me harp on that because that
Right.
opened
Right.
another
No. it was about them. It
It
was
was
about
about
her
them.
and her
Yes.
peace of mind.
So she wasn't going to fall out of bed. She wasn't going to, try to escape. She wasn't going to try to pull out lines and things like that. But she was
Yeah.
more cooperative because she thought she was on vacation and getting to
Yeah.
have a nice little
And I use that a lot. I mean, they're at a resort. I mean, if you've seen our community,
oh man.
it's very home like. It's got a lodge feel to it. And we have a Golden Girls house. Everybody's female and they are chatty, and we do
Oh,
have
that's
plants.
awesome.
Just- but it's like living in a dorm,
Right.
and they eat together, they form relationships.
They do.
The fact that somebody has
Mhm.
dementia can form a relationship and feelings. I'd never truly seen that until I started working for Oxford, to be able to see how nurturing they are towards each other,
Oh, yes, ma'am.
is and loving and caring, and
Right.
me at times. They're territorial.
People, people. Yeah,
Don't come in my room,
yeah.
but we do use that analogy of it being a resort, a
Yeah.
hotel,
It's nice.
a getaway, weekend getaway, so that not only it helps them, but it helps the family, because the families are dealing with so much denial and guilt because they're feeling bad. But once the family is gone and we're FaceTiming and sending pictures and showing them how much fun they're having because they're always busy doing whatever it is,
Right.
painting and arts and crafts and all that kind of stuff. They enjoy it. They get into a routine, and structure is very important for people who
Oh,
have
yes,
dementia.
ma'am.
You've
Mm-hmm.
got to have the structure. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and that helps with, you know, um, not having, oh my gosh, I just drew a blank. Sundowners,
Mm-hmm.
we have some people who like to walk all night, and they can. We're a secured environment, and they can get up and they can walk. They want something to eat. The TV is on, the
Mm-hmm.
fireplace is going. It's very homey, and they feel very secure. So it is um, it is good. But back to the guilt, it's it's kind of like when we grieve. We grieve for our loss, not their gain.
Right.
You know, so we have children that are feeling very guilty about leaving their parents, but once they see how well they've adjusted, and the quality of life that they're getting, they tend to start forgiving themselves and
Yeah.
enjoying that life with them.
Yeah.
So that is our goal. That's our purpose of what we want to accomplish.
And I love the transparency. So that's that. I think that's the key for a lot of
Absolutely.
people when they, especially now during the season of COVID, where we had to pivot and a lot of facilities shut down for their protection, and just having that
Yes.
feeling of
Yeah.
I can still see my loved one. I can still call.
Yeah.
Um,
And we do have a lot of long distance caregivers. We have families that are all over the United States, some that are out of the country, and we FaceTime with them. They do the window visits, the essential caregiver visits. When they come in, they can come in and see their loved one now. As we've adapted to COVID, and been able to maneuver through the process, it's been a learning process for everyone in this
right.
industry.
Right.
Um, and I think we're finally getting into having some normalcy, our new
Mm-hmm.
normal, so to
Our
speak.
new normal.
Um,
Mm-hmm.
but it's been a tough road. It really has, and I'm grateful that people like you, and all the people that we network with that truly care about what's going on with the people that they serve.
Yeah, yeah, I love it too. I love it. I just have a passion for it. My experience with my mom and the experience in the hospital, because I get to see two sides. I had the honor and
Hmm.
privilege of seeing both sides of the fence.
Right,
So
right.
being able to be a healthcare provider and then also being a caregiver of my mom, it's
It's a lot.
yeah,
It's a that's a lot to carry for one person to carry. And so that we incorporate family as much as possible. It's very important that they are still involved, and without COVID involved, Oxford Glen has a pretty much an open door policy, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Our families have the codes, and they can come and go as they please. And we encourage that. We want that because that's important, not just to the family, but it's important to the resident as well. they need to see people. They need to see their loved ones.
Mhm.
I do think that COVID has thrown us a curveball, and I think that a lot of people have not been able to see their families, and I really don't. It's kind of a slippery slope because you look at it from the healthcare perspective, and you want to minimize exposure, but
Yeah,
yet you want the families involved.
right,
So how do you get to that happy medium and you please everybody?
right.
I don't think you can. I
No.
really don't. It's
Mhm.
You're never going to make everybody happy.
Right.
So I think us as an industry, we've done remarkably well with the guidelines and the parameters that we've been given to learn how to adapt
Right.
to do what's best.
Yeah.
And I'll be so glad when we can get back to normal.
Ooh, yes.
Yes,
It's
yes,
different.
definitely,
Yeah, and
definitely.
it's so. Anyway, that's another talk.
Yes, that is. I know, and you're going to have to stop me because I'll just keep going. That because I mean I just don't feel like I can say it enough how much we
Right,
need to take care of each other.
right,
Um,
right.
so one of the things that I'm involved in for 21 is pajamas for seniors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm super excited about that. Joe Alt that owned Acapella, she started it. She's an advocate for seniors, and so she has asked me if I would be part of, be on the board and be part of that, and I
Wow.
absolutely love it. And we've done some events. We're going to be doing a lot more. I've actually enlisted some of my peers to expand down into Ellis and Johnson counties and Tarrant. So right now it's just in Dallas County. But we are going to expand and spread the word, and we'll be raising money for people so that we can, have scholarships for our seniors for things that they might need that are not just pajamas. Yes, we want donations, but they also need toiletries. You know, they also need socks.
Right.
They need gloves and hats, and in the summer they need
Mm-hmm.
fans.
Mm-hmm.
So it'll still be pajamas for seniors, and that's our
Mm-hmm.
primary goal. But we want to be able to expand and give them some of the other necessities, band-aids, hand
Right.
sanitizer, Q-tips,
Basics.
just things that we take for granted
Right.
every
Right.
day.
So, how often does the pajamas for seniors go on? Is it once a year or is it?
No, it's year round.
Is year round? Okay, good,
It's year
good, good.
round. Uh-huh.
Okay.
And so we have our first meeting next month. We were supposed to have it this month, but lovely COVID stepped in. And so we had, we weren't able to have everybody there. So in February, we're going to get together, even if it's virtually, and start, our rollout of what we're going to do, what our objectives are for 2021. And it's mainly to make sure that every senior that is within our reach has what they need as far as pajamas and socks and house shoes
Yeah.
and things like that. And
Hand
so our
sanitizer or whatever.
underserved seniors, there's a lot of budget restricted
Right.
seniors,
Right.
income
Right.
restricted, and those people need items. So that's our mission.
Absolutely. Well, Layla, this has been awesome. And I want to just kind of recap a little
Okay.
bit on some of the things that you mentioned. So, Layla works for Oxford Senior Living. And so far, we just have only four of the things that you do. We could take all night if we wanted to talk about the
Right,
others, but
right.
I'm going to say I mentioned the Alzheimer's Walk in Arlington, Mansfield. You're on that
Mhm,
committee. You're also on the Dementia Care Warriors Committee. You're
mhm.
on the AWARE. So, what is the acronym? I mean, what does it stand for?
Um, you're giving me a
Mhm.
pop quiz and I'm gonna fail.
Okay, no, no,
Um,
no.
but I will. I'll send it to you. How about
Well,
that?
it's
I
a
just
great
had it in front of
cause.
me.
Whatever. It's a great cause for Alzheimer's for
It
caregivers, right?
absolutely
There we
is.
go. And
It
then the
is
pajamas for seniors. So,
seniors.
and
Yes.
that pajamas
Yeah.
is not only pajamas, it's toiletries, it's
Right.
lotion,
Right.
it's soap, it is hand
And anything that
sanitizer,
anybody wants to
socks.
donate, and a lot of times we will do different drives, and we just did something in Fort Worth. It wasn't pajamas for seniors, but we did do a pajamas for seniors drive. But we have different offshoots, and that's what I love about this industry, is that I have little like different pods, and they just did a big drive for the homeless in Fort Worth. So and took it to the main shelter, and that was toiletries and blankets and socks, and that wasn't senior related, but it's still taking care of our community.
Right,
So
right.
anything that anybody wants to donate, we will be more than happy to get it. And I would love to share my contact information.
I was getting ready to ask,
And
what's the best way for someone to
all
contact
right,
you?
thank you. Yes. So my email address is elmore@oxfordseniorliving.com. And my cell phone number is 972-689-2972. And whether it's after hours, the weekends, it doesn't really matter. There's always somebody in crisis, and crisis doesn't get scheduled between 9 and 5.
Right.
So, we're here to help. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Oh,
I
thank
really
you.
appreciate it. And I
This
can't
was-
wait to have you be part of all the things that we're doing.
Well, this was
Because you need more on your
full.
plate.
Oh, I need more on my plate.
I know you do.
I need 2 plates.
I know. And a
Oh,
tray,
right. Just put them on a cart and just fill it up. Right?
right? Just like here at Luby's, just push the cart around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun again. So mention your contact information again for those who may have.
Okay. My email address is elmore@oxfordseniorliving.com. And my phone number is 972-689-2972. You can either call me, email, or text me. And I'm
Awesome.
usually always available.
Awesome. And if you can't get her, get me and I'll connect you to her. So she
Absolutely.
is wonderful. Well, thank
Well,
you
thank you
again.
again.
Yes.
I appreciate that.
Oh man, I appreciate you more than you know. You do so much for the community and the people that we touch. Well, again, my name is Deidre Kindred. I'm a nurse advocate, educator, and navigator. We love bringing you reputable resources that are in your local communities. Tune in next time with another great resource. Thank you for tuning in.